some copyright infringement.
Woo! Copyright on ba-da-da-da-da. We already started before we hit the play, so we're recording now. My friend.
Listen, watch this. Guys, we're going to start this podcast in a way we've not started in 15 episodes. My name is Brandon.
Damn. My name is Joel Carter.
His name's Joel Carter.
So nice to meet you.
Post-nut clarity.
Post-nut clarity. The way to be.
The way to be. The way to be.
There really is clarity after.
There's too much.
Because then you go into fight or flight. Like, right, you're like, what the fuck? Do I leave? Do I stay? What the hell? What was the joke? What's the joke? I went to bed with Michelle Pfeiffer and woke up with Sean Connery or something.
Jesus. Danny DeVito. Who fucking...
You never know.
Who freaking knows? No, dude.
You never know.
Have you ever been in that situation?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people have been in that situation to some extent or another, but to the point to where you were like, what the hell did I just do?
Yeah, definitely. Like you when you're young, you're dumb, you're full of cum, you're going to do some stupid shit. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, I would have to say definitely my Marine Corps days, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Not in my older life, not in my elderly age, 41, but definitely my younger, for sure.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. 1,000%. But it was never, most of the time, it's never really about looks or anything like that. It was just like
personality.
Yes, this. Yeah. This bitch is nuts. There's no way. I can't believe I just did that.
I know. Now she has my number.
Now she has it. She knows where I live. She knows. She's met my dog. But in all fairness, the dog's probably met everybody.
Man. Oh, of course.
Well, man, how you doing?
Life is good when it's not, but it is good. I think I look at life as hills and valleys and mountains, right? It's like you're on the top, and the problem is if you don't have a down, then there's no...
Yeah.
Right? Let's be real. Because then it's a plane.
Yeah. Without cold, there's no plane. Hot. Yeah.
It's the yin and yang. It's you have to go through challenges in your life and to see who you are, to forge through the fire, You don't make steel out of coal, right? You can't just find it naturally. You have to forge it. So I think that's just life. And I think coming to the understanding that it will always be like that in different seasons in your life with different situations. I think everybody knows that, but you have to accept it.
Sure.
You have to see it, view it, feel it, accept it.
Yeah.
And understand this is going to make you a better person, But career wise, amazing. I told you earlier about a new potential position, so I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the holidays.
They're coming.
I got 2 little girls. They are the sweetest. And I'll tell you a story today. I already told you this, but I think it's...
Yeah, the people will love it.
Yeah. So I got invited to a birthday party for a 100-year-old man today. And he's from Brazil, but he moved here years ago and served in our Marine Corps, United States Marines. And he served in 3 wars: World War II, Vietnam War, and the Korean War.
But he really went from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. He was
actually in D-Day.
Yeah.
Survived the whole war, came back, and then went to another war and another war.
There wasn't internet back then.
Just to meet him today was such an honor.
Yeah.
Just to stand in his presence and shake his hand.
Sure.
And still a strong handshake.
Yeah.
And just, to be there for him when his daughter said, he asked, is anyone going to be here today? Is there anyone coming to my party? Is there any?
He's 100 years old.
100.
His posse's got to be out of here.
And so for me to show up with my little girls, and I told them earlier today, I was like, we're going to go meet a 100-year-old man. And they were like, 100? Is freaking them out. In a way, they were like, really?
Yeah.
There's a person who's 100 years old, our oldest. And then the next question was, is there going to be cake?
Very
I'm like,
important
yeah,
question.
there's going to be cake for sure.
Yeah.
We get there, and they were actually the sweetest little girls. They drew him a card and drew 100 years with stars and all these things, and then gave him a hug and said happy birthday to him. And I think it just made his week, like, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So to just be able to honor our veterans, since Monday was Veterans Day, I just like felt really good about that decision to go and to want to be there for him and my friend. Just a very special moment. And it's just like, I think, anything in life, like when you step out of something for you and you do something for someone else,
1000%.
with nothing that's going to come back to you.
Yeah. There's
no benefit other than the fact that you get to enjoy their presence and see history in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it just makes you feel, it's just amazing,
Yeah.
that you could just be there for someone else I've never met this person in my life,
Mm-hmm.
but me bringing my little girls, I just saw it on all their faces, the whole family. It was just like, and they were just doted on my little girls like the whole entire time.
Yeah.
And Ellison did not disappoint. Spinning around, walking up to him. You like my dress? All the little cute things.
And I bet he was eating it up.
The movie scenario where you're just like, can you do this, please? Can you walk down the aisle like a normal child and throw out the flowers and do a little sweet face? Like this, Ellison just did it all, like effortlessly, without even being asked.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
That's super cool.
Sweet. And they ate so much cake. My God, they ate so much cake.
I bet they did.
Every old lady wanted to give them a piece of cake. And I'm like, this is too much cake.
That's funny. Speaking of fucking cake, I had, because she's passed away now, but I have an aunt named Ela. And Aunt Ela. She was married to my Uncle June, who's a Baptist preacher in Beaumont. I think he's been pastoring for 50 years at the same church now. It's crazy. But she was a lifelong diabetic. And so every time we had any kind of gathering and we were in the same space, she'd come up to me and she'd say, "Nephew, hey, don't tell your uncle, but don't tell nobody, but go get your auntie a piece of that cake so I can." But it was never just a piece. Throughout the night, it was like 5 or 6 pieces.
Yeah, you weren't the only one she was asking. You felt special, but you weren't.
Yeah, but she always had me going incognito to go get some cake for her.
Through the darkness.
Through the freaking darkness, man. Dude, I went to the voice doctor this week.
All right, for y'all that don't know, this
here
boy,
we go. No,
my boy,
listen,
right here.
Listen, man.
Listen.
Once upon a time.
First time I ever heard him sing, I got chills. I felt like I was in church. Like the Holy Ghost came over me.
Man,
like, come on, this dude can sing, can play the piano. Man. Let's talk about talent. The ability to keep that all in your mind and to then let it out through your body. I'm just in awe of you, man.
Man,
I have tried to learn instruments. I play the drums, but the piano, my goodness, dude, you're killer.
Man.
Your presence when you sing just draws people in, and you drew me in. Yeah, I love to hear you sing.
I appreciate that. I think it's been a crazy ride. For those who don't know, I was diagnosed with nodules on my vocal cords 2 years ago, back in October of 22, which is what set on track weight loss and all the other stuff and whatnot, which I'm, in one sense, I hated it because I lost the ability to do something I've been doing in my entire life. And it wasn't just something that I was doing, but it was also part of my income, is part of my persona, is part just who I am, just in general. And, so losing that, it was devastating. But I tell you, what I gained in the process of getting my health back and all that stuff, it was super great. But it's always on my mind, obviously, just like I just woke up one day, really is what it felt like. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And that freaking sucked. And so I finally went back to the doctor on Tuesday. And so they put that cord up your nose and down your throat.
So I don't know that. I don't know
Okay,
that.
okay. So if you go to the ENT and they want to look at your vocal cords, they're gonna take this scope, this camera, but it's like a just a wire, and they put it up your nose and down your throat. It sounds more intense than what it is. It's not that bad.
It's a tickle.
It's just un.
It's a little tickle.
Well, and listen, and I got more room in my nose than a lot of people. I can't speak for small nose people, but for this big nose, it's not much. You know, it's kind of like having a big vagina.
Like
It probably does.
look, you ain't hitting the walls here. Like you ain't hitting the walls. You ain't filling this up.
Are you in there?
Oh, what every man never wants to hear. What every man never wants to hear. Are you in?
Oh, that's so funny. So, you know, but I got some good news. He did everything, and he didn't see any nodules on the vocal cords, which is a good
Yeah.
thing. There was still a little edema on or swelling in on the vocal cord, probably just residue from like the acid reflux.
Yeah.
You know, a few years ago. But he's sending me to a laryngeal specialist because they have another process that's similar, but it's actually videoing your throat. So as you're talking, they can slow it down and actually watch the vibration of the
Yeah.
vocal cords. And so what that camera that he had may not be able to see, slowing it down with that video, they may be able to catch something that might be, you know, unidentifiable by what he
Right.
had. So but it was really encouraging because it's just been something that's weighed heavy on me for the last 2 years. And so to know
Yeah.
that there's nothing there, potentially nothing there is really good. And and it's kind of confirmed what I've been thinking, which is, you know, a lot of people like, let me say it like this. If somebody watched you work out and then let's say you sprained your ankle, and they didn't know you sprained your ankle, but they were watching you work out and they're like, man, Joel, you're so good. But you know, in your mind, regardless of what they're seeing, there's something not right.
Yeah.
You know, they can't see
Yeah.
it, but you know. And so, you know, it's been frustrating because I've probably sang maybe 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years, which is crazy to think because I sang 6 days a week sometimes, you know, back in the day. But each time, you know, you have people say, "Oh, I don't hear any difference." Oh man, you sound so good. You sound normal to me, and it's so fucking frustrating because I'm like, I know what y'all hear, but I know what I feel, and the little things that didn't take as much effort take a whole lot more just focus and all of that stuff. But I am encouraged by it to know that just through that they didn't see anything because you know I felt like I've had a piece of me that's just been like,
My God, I can't even imagine.
yeah, just
It's you lost a limb.
yeah. Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah.
But it's not something you can walk around and everyone sees it, has some sympathy for you or feels a certain way toward you. It's something that you had to own yourself and like live with.
Yeah.
And if anything, I apologize that I didn't truly understand more about that and lean in more as a friend on you on that. And I own that.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, I understand. It's not because again, it's not something people can see.
Well, the way you just articulated it, man, it's just like put it in my mind that like I guess it's like that. Exactly what you said. The effort is different. You know. So my mind went to I pulled this muscle in this bicep.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't changed what I do, but I know it's different.
Yeah.
And I baby it and I think about it. And
There's
I have
adjustments
to
and modifications that you make too.
Which is okay. Right?
Yeah.
In life. But it is affecting how I perceive this arm
Mm-hmm.
and how I want to protect it.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine you feel the same way. Like I want to protect it because I at least want to talk.
Right.
I want to communicate.
Right.
This could go further. This could be something that it could really affect my communication skill versus I can't sing anymore. But it's still like losing a part of you, and then not really as one of your best friends, man. Like not really knowing that. I don't feel like I've done good enough job to be there for you in that way.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
Well, and I receive it, but again, I receive it in the spirit in which you mean, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's no harm, no foul, because again, it's not like I got a tumor on my head that's constantly reminding someone every time they see me. And you know what's so crazy? Being here in Jacksonville, nobody knows I sing.
Yeah,
Nobody. I mean,
different Brandon.
My neighbors do, but
Right.
that's just
They
because
hear you in the shower.
They might hear Marie in the showers, but no, they
Oh, Maria. High pitch.
yeah, but they're in such close proximity. They just know about my life from the past. But
Right.
nobody out here knows that I sing,
Interesting.
and it's just it's a different world, and definitely nobody knows that I used to pastor,
Oh, yeah.
and that's a whole nother,
That's a whole nother world.
just a whole nother set of I don't know, just trauma, just in general, just it's been speaking of that
Trauma?
shit, dog.
Or trauma or religion?
Well, man, shit, they kind of go hand in hand. So let's talk about this. Yeah, let's talk about a little trauma. So your parents have passed away.
Yes.
Have gone on. My mom is still here. My dad is as good as not here. He ain't never really, he never really been around. That type of thing, But for me, with my dad, and maybe this will help somebody. I've never considered myself to be like an angry person for his absence or even really sad. It's kind of hard to miss what you never had type of a thing.
Yeah.
But I remember, so I saw my dad, and this is going to sound crazy to some folks who have had their parents their entire lives and that have been active. I never remember my parents being together. My dad was in the Air Force. He was stationed at Edwards Air Force Base in Lancaster, California. One of the two places where they used to see the UFO shit and all that stuff. So I never really had any kind of real relationship with my dad. I did know his family and knew them very well, spent a lot of time with them because my grandmother, we lived in the same city, Alexandria, Louisiana. So we lived in the same city as his family. So I was always with his family. My grandmother, she's such a saint. She did such a good job making sure that I knew that part of my family. But my dad's just never been anywhere. So I went to visit my father. I was 9 years old, 1999. I went to visit my dad in California on Continental Airlines, for anybody who remembers that.
I like Continental.
I did too. I thought they had
United. I thought they were great.
Yeah, I liked the way their planes looked too. That red type thing they had going on. I thought it was pretty cool. But so I went and visited him in 1999, and then my great grandfather died December of that same year, and so I saw him for my grandfather's funeral. The next time I saw my dad from 1999 was 2017. Whenever I was 27, so keep that in mind. 9 years old the last time I seen him. 27 now. At that point, my great grandmother had passed. Ironically, the last time I saw him was at my great grandfather's funeral. My great grandmother passed, so he was there. Didn't and really have never had that type of we talk every day, we reach out to each other, whatever type of relationship. We only really talked on Facebook. But I remember last year, I was scrolling through Facebook and Marie, she's very discerning. Like she can see and feel a lot of stuff that's not being said or displayed. And she said, "Babe, let me ask you a question without trying to get in your business or tell you what to do. But why do you still have him as a friend on Facebook?" And I said, "Well, I mean, he's my dad. I'm not like angry with him or like I don't hate him. He's just been a terrible dad. But he's a great dad he's a great dad to his other kids from his, new relationship and all that stuff." But she said, "You know what? If every time you see him on, hey girl, she's so cute. No, baby. No. So, but if every time you see him on Facebook, it brings your energy down to this nasty place, you're not angry or anything like that, but it definitely doesn't put you in a good mood." And so I really had to take a step back and was like, you know what? This is not adding to the quality of my life. And even though it's not subtracting from it, it's still not a good thing for me right now, and so I had to essentially, I blocked my dad on everything. I blocked him on Facebook. I blocked him on Instagram. I blocked his phone number. I did all of those things because it just wasn't serving me in a positive way any longer. Well, it never really served me in a positive way, but it was starting to impact me negatively, even though I wasn't upset with him, but I just didn't have anything good to say about him. And I realized at that point, there's some trauma like attached to that because when you're talking about a parent, whether they're involved or not, a parent is 50% of who you are.
Exactly.
So if they're out of the picture, that's 50% of who you are that you really don't know anything about. Like, I can look at my mom, the things that she says, the thing that she does and whatnot, and I'm like, oh, I can see that in me. I can hear that in me. I can see that I do this and I do that. My father, not so much.
Yeah,
Even
because you don't
even
know.
I don't. But if you ask people, they'll tell you, you talk just like your dad, you act a lot like your dad, you've got mannerisms like your dad, and whatever. And so that's just so crazy that somebody that is so essential to you being here on this planet has so much influence on who you are, and you don't even know them.
Yeah.
It was,
Because it's
yeah,
there's some nurture in nature, right? So
yeah,
nature plays a big part. I commend you on your actions. What let's give something to the people. Like, what do you think about trauma in the way of like steps to process that? Because that's a big deal, right? Trauma, when you lose someone, whether it be a relationship or a loved one, from death or a breakup or any of those things, like trauma, you have to go through some phases, right?
yeah,
You have to.
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to hear your intake on that. Can you give me like 1 minute to get this little nugget,
1,000%.
this little nugget
1,000%.
in a position? And then we're going to dive into that because she's here. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hey,
The
cutie.
cutest. Look how cute that
She's so cute.
is. The cutest. I will be right back.
No problem, Big Daddy. We'll get her done.
Let's go. Can you hear me?
Yep, all good, Big Daddy.
Let me pull the mic. We will I'll trim that in post. Are you looking up something?
Oh no, I'm here now.
Okay.
Okay, so the question was,
Like nuggets on like how to process trauma,
yeah,
you know?
I heard this years ago, and it stuck with me because I think it's true. It said you can't conquer what you don't confront, and you can't confront what you don't identify. For me, because I'm going to speak from where I'm from, and then I'll tell you the things that I have done / actively am doing to try to get through things. First of all, I think everybody should go to therapy, point blank. I think everybody should go to some kind of therapy in their lives. And I'm going to even go a little stretch further to say I don't think it needs to be religious specific either. I think it needs to be absent of a lot of that stuff and just straight to the point. But that's free for y'all to consider. But as someone who struggles with rejection, as someone who has been a people pleaser a lot in his life because I just want people to think the best of me.
You're speaking my language.
Yeah. As a result, sometimes that lends itself to not really allowing yourself to be honest about situations and things that are taking place in your life. So I know, like, one thing for me, one of the churches that I used to work for, one of the pastors that I used to, and if I said his name, you would know him just because of how we grew up. I admired this guy for a long time. As a kid, I admired him, and as I got older, I was so, in that time, I would have said blessed and appreciative to be able to work with him on an executive level that closely, because he's somebody that influenced me from a distance for so long as a younger kid. And long story short, the way that it ended and the things that he did to me, whether it was financially, whether it was emotionally, whatever, because I decided I was going to move on and go do something else. And he went on a full onslaught, scorched earth, just, got in front of 1,000 people on a Wednesday night, told them to turn cameras off, and for an hour and a half, told a congregation that I've served for 3 years how terrible of a person. I'm talking about thousands of people. I mean,
Oh my God.
just absolutely just obliterated my heart, in my feelings and my emotions. And I found myself, after I forgave him, I found myself still wanting that approval from that individual, wanting that validation from that individual. And so I'd reach out in attempts just to make sure we were good, even though he fucked me over. That's bottom line. But I still want to, for some reason, I still wanted to have that validation and that approval from him. And it wasn't until I became honest with myself about what really happened that I was able to start the process of really getting over the trauma and all of the damage that had been done. Because I can point back to that situation and then where I am in my life now, and I can tell you a few things that have happened or that have surfaced as a result. One of them is the fact that I'm not in church anymore. It's not directly his fault, but if I trace that line back, he's definitely a huge part that plays. But I had to be honest about what happened. I had to be honest about who he was. I had to stop thinking the best about someone that was constantly showing me that he was not the best. I had to stop romanticizing the situation and what I had, the ideal situation or scenario that I had in my head, and I just had to start calling it for what it was. It was the same thing with my dad. I just had to start saying what it was. You know what? He's my dad, but he's not been a father. Now, and so being honest with myself like that, then I started to have the choice. Okay, now that you have properly assessed the situation, now what do you want to do? Now, how do you want to move forward? Now, how do you want to deal with this person? Now that you've taken your power back, because when you allow people to, to bring that type of trauma into your life, and then you don't deal with it, there's pieces of you that they have stolen from you, whether they know it or not, because they're dealing with their own shit, but they've
Yeah.
taken that from you. But here's the deal, Joel. They're sleeping at night. They're not up working their brains, racking their brains, trying to figure out if I'm okay, or wondering if everything is all right in my life. They're not even concerned about what they did to me. And in their mind, they might not even think that what they did was a big deal. And those are all things that I had to process. I had to process, number one, they did fuck me over. Number two, they may not even care that they fucked me over. Number three, I may not get any kind of recompense or vindication or anything. So what am I going to do with the information that I'm privy to now? Am I going to continue to allow that situation to be my excuse for the other things that are going on in my life, or what I am doing, what I'm not doing, what I did say, what I didn't say, why I won't be vulnerable with this person, why I can't be transferred, all of these things that come as a result of that? I had to be honest with myself and say, okay, what are you going to do with this information? Are you going to move forward and just take it for what it is and just realize that sometimes bad shit just happens to people? Also remembering that I've also been the villain in somebody's story too. Whether I meant to be or not, the intention doesn't matter. Impact is what matters.
Right.
You
It's the
can,
accountability of knowing
yes,
and recognizing like that we're all human, that
yeah,
I've been this same
yeah.
person. Going back but in those moments, I think you and I, the two people here, if I've been that villain, I have come back and been remorseful for being that
Oh, me too. Me too.
to that person,
Me too.
which helps, I think, in that trauma. Sometimes it just takes some words,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't be what you needed me to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's true. And I also had to learn that the expectation that I have for myself, I can't really have that expectation for anybody else. Because
Exactly.
even though that's how I feel, there's been plenty of people that felt like I was in the wrong in the scenario with them, that I've come back and because I always want to, people are always talking about, I want to be real. I want to be real. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. No, I want to be right with the person.
Yeah.
I want to just be real, because being real oftentimes is an excuse for us to continue to conduct ourselves in a way that's probably not the most beneficial to us or people around us. I want to be right with people,
Yeah.
and
That's a good point. I like how
yeah,
you said that.
yeah. Because again, you think about the people who say, "I'm just being real," and that's the attitude that's behind it. I'm just being real. It's just me. If you can't take me how I am, then you don't deserve. That's prideful bullshit. That people do and say. But I want to be right with people. But I also had to learn. It was a hard lesson to learn that not everybody has those same convictions or
Yeah.
intentions towards other people, and it doesn't matter if they're friends or family. Like it could be anybody. Anybody at any point can be a banana that goes bad.
Yeah. And I think if you boil it down to one word, I would say that what you are defined as the first step is acceptance. It's like accept everything. Like understand, when I say acceptance, I mean say this is the reality of
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
No sugarcoating, no like, well, I think they meant this, or maybe they didn't mean that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking about their no. It's exactly what transpired.
Yeah.
Is reality. And
It is what it is.
I accept this. It is what it is. I accept that this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the
Mm-hmm.
first step.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 1000%.
And from there, you can stop at acceptance, but then you also have some other. What do you think the next steps are?
Acceptance, and then I believe ownership of the part that you play. I think everything that happens to you, you have to try to see. And I know there's some caveats to this. It's not 100%. But most of the time, things that happen to you, short of like somebody like, molesting a child or raping someone or something like that, that's craziness. But I do think that most of the times in normal, just everyday situations that people go through, that you have to take ownership of the part that you play, the good and the bad. Because if you don't, then you kind of live in this false reality because you're only looking at one side of the puzzle or one side of the story, and it's not a one-sided story at all.
Exactly.
Even in the times where I've been right, there's still been room for adjustments.
Of course. It is you hit it, man. It's like you cannot live in a space where you live in your ego and you did no wrong.
Yeah.
In any capacity. Now, let's just say you did nothing wrong. You were just first date. This is a small problem. First date. You come out, you're just the nicest person. And that person doesn't want a nice person.
Yeah.
They don't want the nice guy. They're not attracted to the nice guy.
Yeah.
You did nothing wrong.
No.
You were yourself, And that's fine. Then you dodged a bullet. But long-term relationships, there's gonna be things that you could see like I didn't do that to the best of my ability. And to take that ownership, to recognize, to reflect, to stand in the mirror and look at yourself and say, and not necessarily for that person, but for your future self.
Yeah.
It's for your future self. It's for your next relationship or friendship in any capacity. It's for you. It's not when you reflect on yourself and look at yourself and you say, I did that too much, or I did that too little, or this or that.
Yeah.
That self-awareness is a crucial step in the process of healing from trauma.
And when you hit that self-awareness, there's going to also come a point, I think there's a little bit of grieving that takes place too as well, because you're starting to, again, you're understanding the role that you played in whether it's a small role or big role, it's still a role. I remember when I was before I got with Marie, years before that, 2016, who I consider my ex. Like, I look back at that situation. Obviously, we're not together anymore. We're together for 3 years. And when I look back at that situation, I had to acknowledge the role that I played in why we weren't together. Like, I know the things that turned me off about her, and I know the things that I was frustrated with her about, but those weren't more important than the things that she was frustrated with me about. And if I just told that story of, she just didn't understand that I always had people around me and I had to share my intention because I was a preacher and an entertainer and it's just part of the business and this and that and blah, 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 and whatever, yada, yada, that. Like, yeah, sure. But now I'm in a relationship. Like, there's got to be, even though this is my job, I've still got to acknowledge what she's saying and how she's feeling and see if there's some kind of resolution that we can come to, because it's not just me in this relationship. It was me and her. in this relationship. And so whenever I finally started to take ownership of the things that caused us to fall apart, then I had to really ask myself, it's like, shit, is that who you are? Like, is that how you operate? Is that what you want to be known by? And I really had to do, the old folks in church used to say, take inventory of yourself. I really had to take some inventory of myself and ask myself, why? What part did I play? And then how do I avoid doing this again? And listen, it doesn't even have to be a bunch of bad stuff. The fact that I got with her and we weren't compatible was half my fault. You know, like there's it's not just somebody doing something bad. It's the fact that we're adults and that we're pretty much in charge and in control of most of the decisions that we make in our lives. And then to again turn around and not take ownership of that, I really think is detrimental to people and where they are. Like for instance, I'm not pastoring anymore, and I feel like it's for good reason that I'm not doing it. But I also acknowledge that some of the turmoil that I had was because of some of the stances and the ideology that I had too. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it still played a part in the ultimate thing that ended up happening. And so I think once you acknowledge, you just have to take ownership of stuff.
You do.
Because
Yeah.
if you don't, that means somebody else has it.
Well, yeah. If you don't, then you're not being true to yourself. It's just, you cannot move forward because you will hold on to the fact that if you don't acknowledge your downfall,
Yeah.
your shortcomings, you can't move forward. It's just
No.
impossible.
No.
Because then you're banking on these emotions, which are anger, resentment, all these things to this other person. And it's not a necessarily fair scale. You're not fully looking at the full picture. You have to look at the full picture, and you have to acknowledge that, like, you have to accept where you are and then acknowledge your part in it. And then at that point, then you can start healing. Or the next step, I would say, is change the situation, making yourself better, because you can only control yourself. You can only control your actions and your thoughts and your words. You can't control anyone else's. So the healing process starts with that change. It may be that you're in a position that you can be changing together or separate, but understanding that you have to focus on you, because you love this other person, a parent, a friend, a relationship, but you love yourself more.
Yeah.
And you have to be healthier than you are now before you can actually benefit anyone else.
Yeah.
In the same position.
Yeah, and I think most people, even even the most confident individuals, struggle with the issue of self-love and
Yeah.
self-worth. It's a big deal. You know, I feel like a lot of the things that we accept that are negative for us come from a place of us not valuing who we are and what we bring to the table.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, because if you let's just say someone was saying something negative about me, I know me, I'm kind of like, whatever, it's just. But if they were saying it about you, I'd go to fuck off, because I love you that much. Or somebody was at Marie, somebody was after Bobby, somebody was after my brothers and my mom. I'm going to fuck off because I love them. I also need to love myself the same way that I love the people that are in my experience or in my oikos and in my network. I need to have that. I need to have that same determination that I'm going to have my back like I'm going to have your back as a friend. And I have struggled to have that type of love for myself. Didn't realize that's what it was, but I've struggled to have that type of love for myself because, especially growing up in church where everything you don't worry about yourself. It's not about you. It's all about him. It's all about somebody else. It's all about this. But Joel, you know as well as I do, you can't pour from an empty fucking pitcher.
No. You know my vessel analogy.
Yeah.
You're full.
Yeah.
And if you keep filling other people's cups, you're going to be empty.
You're going to be empty. You're going to
Like, you
be
have
empty.
to be filled. You
Yeah.
have to fill yourself.
Yeah. 1,000,
Through exercise, all of it doesn't matter what it is. It's not about like filling yourself with like, ego. It's
Yeah.
about filling yourself with love of yourself
Yeah.
and doing things for you
Yeah.
that will make you a better person. Because
Yeah.
when you're the best version of yourself, you're the best version of yourself for other people too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Friendships, relationships, you can't not be.
Mhm.
Because if you love yourself first, you will be healthy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get lost in that.
Mhm.
They get lost in the friendships and the relationships, and they tend to worry about the other person more than themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you know what that builds? Resentment
Mhm.
and anxiety
Mhm.
and fear.
Yeah.
These emotions about that person,
Yeah.
about, whatever's happening.
Mhm.
So to understand and focus on yourself and be healthy through meditation, through prayer, through religion, if you need it, through working out, through taking a walk, whatever it is that you want to do. You want to play paddleball? You want to ping pong? Like, let's go. You want to play golf?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
You have to set boundaries.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I need this. I need this for my health, my mental health, my physical health, and I'm going to do it. I think a lot of people lose that. I've done it. I've lost that. I tend to lean in hard on people I love the most.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Through therapy, which you recommend, I do as well. I've been in therapy a while now. You have to take people off pedestals.
Yeah.
You can't put your father on a pedestal just because he was your dad. You can't put a girlfriend or a friend that you look up to,
Yeah.
on a pedestal
Yeah.
above yourself.
Yeah.
Once you do, you lose yourself.
Yeah.
And it can get toxic then, because it gets in a weird position where your thoughts and your actions are only reflected around that person.
Yeah. It's lukewarm.
Yeah. And they're not feeling, to your point, they're sleeping.
Yeah.
They're sleeping at night.
Yeah.
They're doing their thing.
They're
They're not feeling the same way as you, because they're comfy, because they're getting taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't hold them in contempt for that either.
No, because you did it.
That's their choice. And as an adult, I have to decide whether or not I'm going to take that information that I've become privy to and move fucking forward, or just, in the play Hamlet by Shakespeare, there's a quote, a lot of people have used it for years: to thine own self be true. And I think that's really a mouthful. Like when we think about the things that we go through in our lives and our experiences and all of that stuff, like it's so easy to lose yourself and how you naturally function and how you naturally operate whenever, with matters of the heart, whether with things, whether with people, whatever it may be. And losing yourself is like losing access to God, ultimately. Yeah. So I think I might have done this in the podcast before, but for those who've seen The Lion King, there's a part where Rafiki, the monkey, the little baboon, is going through the woods with Simba, whose dad Mufasa has died, from his uncle and all that stuff. And they get out of this brush and they end up at this lake. All of a sudden, Mufasa's image starts to surface on the lake, and then he pops up in the sky. And all you hear Mufasa saying is, remember, remember, remember. And Simba's like, Dad, what are you talking about? He said, remember, you've forgotten me. And Simba says, no, Dad, I've not forgotten you. There's no way I could ever forget you. And I'm telling you, as a kid, it stuck with me. Mufasa looks down and he says, you have forgotten me because you've forgotten yourself. Remember.
Yeah.
And I think when we forget who we are, whenever circumstances and situations in life come and they cause us to forget who we are, ultimately what they do is emotionally and mentally, even sometimes physically, they separate us from source, because now we start to operate outside of the guidelines that the universe has already put in play for us. I remember one time I was out to eat with a friend, and she had left her cell phone on the center console in the car. And so we were walking away, but I looked through the window of the car I just happened to, and I saw it. And so I said, "Hey, your cell phone's in the center console there. Somebody can see through this window and might try to take it." And she said, "Oh, nobody wants that phone. Do you see how ugly and nasty that phone case is?" And I said, "It doesn't matter what that phone case is. What's going on with that phone case? It's what's inside of that phone case
Yeah.
that they care about." But that's what happens. Situations and circumstances, they come and they tarnish our idea, our image of ourselves that we have. And we've got to like put shit back into perspective, which it is utterly important who you surround yourself with and who your tribe is. Because if you don't have a tribe to kind of bring you back to reality, shit, you'll drift off to fucking Islamabad and not know how the hell you ended up getting there, who you are, and what's the steps are to get out of that. And so you just, I feel like the inner work, and this is something I've known my whole life, but Marie has really pounded it into me the more. Like there's so much importance that we need to put on doing inner work. We got to do that inner work. And I don't care if it's chanting or what, but the inner work is about being honest with yourself. To thine own self be true.
Be true.
Be honest about where you were. Joe, in 2022, I was fat, I was sick, and most of it was my fault. Most of it was my fucking fault. I had to be true to myself. It's like, okay, if this is who you want to be, this is what you got to fucking stop.
Yeah.
And this is what you have to fucking start doing. This is what you have to fucking start surrounding yourself with. This is what you have to start putting in your ears. Joe, I listened to boring ass doctors for an entire year on YouTube talk about the carnivore diet and how to eat. That was never anywhere on my radar of what
Right.
I would be doing in my life. But I kept that in my ear. And ultimately, I became what I would consider a pretty big expert on the situation
Yeah.
because that's what I was pumping into my brain all fucking day long until it became a part of who I was, till it woke that
Yeah.
fucking thing up.
Well, I mean, you just hit on the first 2 points of the 4-point trauma
Mm-hmm.
situation. You accepted where you were. You acknowledged your part in it. I'd say the next part of it is a position that you have to change it.
Yeah.
You have to implement the action
Yeah.
to be better
Yep.
on your part
Yep.
or the situation that you're in. Like let's say it's financial or relationship wise. You just be true to the actions that you need to do
Mm-hmm.
to change that situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether
No.
it's like I'm in total debt and I cannot get out of this, I will take the action to get out of debt.
Yeah.
I will be true to the fact that I caused this.
Yeah.
I recognize I overspent,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm going to take the actions to get out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Wholeheartedly.
Relationship wise, either it's apologizing, it's making it right, it's not doing and repeating the same action over again that you just acknowledge.
Yeah.
So we have
Acceptance.
acceptance, we have acknowledgement of your actions and changing it.
Yeah.
You have to change. You
Yeah.
have to change it.
And you know
And
why you
that's-
got to change? Because everything fucking changes.
Everything changes.
If stuff stops changing, the world itself ceases to exist. The fucking everything changes. The fucking birds change, the leaves change, the grass change, the dog sheds, the fucking snake lets go of his. Everything has got
Everything
to change.
changes.
And if we resist the change, that's where the inner turmoil really starts to come in. Because we're fighting against life instead of going with the unforced rhythms of life. We're fighting against the fucking current instead of, like Jim Rohn said, it's not the blowing of the wind, it's the fucking setting of the sail.
Exactly.
You got to set the fucking sail and trust that as I do what I'm supposed to fucking do, that life will continue to reward me for doing the shit that I'm supposed to do. But again, that comes to being true to your fucking self.
You want a better job? Recognize that maybe you haven't done the best job.
Maybe not. Or maybe you're in the wrong place.
Maybe you're in the wrong field.
Yeah.
It's acceptance that, like, I don't like where I'm at in this job.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because I don't enjoy it. Why not? Because it's not where I want to be.
Where you want to be.
Then you change it. You have to start changing it.
You got to change it. And I think you have to, I think people take too long to change stuff. And I'm going to speak from my own experience. I think that anytime a bridge is burned, that means you stayed in the place longer than what you were supposed to. I don't think
good.
bridges really should, unless you're dealing with really toxic, terrible people. I don't think bridges, should be burned. I think the moment, like this machine that we have, this Ferrari that we live in, is very, very intelligent. And it's for more than just a taste, touch, feel, touch, and hear. It's got so many complex mechanisms on the inside of it. And I think one of those things is that we don't know how to acknowledge our own intuition. Like shit starts talking to us way, way early before the shit really starts to hit the fan. And a lot of times we kind of ignore that. Because again, I don't know if that's because we're just trying to blind ourselves to the situation, if we're not being true to ourselves or whatever, that may be. But I heard Grant Cardone say this years ago. Time is the food of fear. The more time I put between making a decision, the bigger the fear grows behind making that fucking decision. And I can take that statement and apply it to so many different scenarios throughout my life where I knew this ain't fucking for you, boy. Get the fuck out of there and stop doing that. But I stayed. And the longer I stayed, the more fear ate that food of time. That monster baby Godzilla turned into big fucking Godzilla. And then you're like, how the fuck do I get rid of this? And so, like, take it like this. If you had a tumor let's say you had a tumor in your leg, cancerous tumor. What are they going to fucking do? Just going to sit there and let you hold on to it for 10 years? Or are they probably just going to immediately probably take that motherfucker off of you?
Cut it out.
Why?
Cut it out.
Because they know they don't care about what it could potentially do in the future. They're worried about, listen, get this shit out so we don't have to worry about it in the fucking future. We don't want to give it a chance to cause more chaos than what it's already causing you right now. So they just fucking get rid of it. And I think that's the same thing that we have to do in our lives, whether it be with our jobs, whether it be with people in relationships or whatever. Like the moment we start to see certain things, like, man, we got to fucking get ahead of that because stage 1 cancer turns to stage 4 cancer, and it doesn't take that fucking long.
Well, that's the last step. I think so if you work through it, the last step is cut it out. Leave it. Cut it out and leave it. You have to remove yourself from the situation. It is the last step after you've tried everything else. Let's imagine that you've done all the things. You have accepted your situation. You have acknowledged your part. You tried to change it and maybe had some headway in it. But maybe it didn't. You have to leave it. You have to cut it out. Cut it out of your life. And then you start over again. And at that point, you have to drop it. But it'll be easier to drop because what a lot of people want to do is they want to go from the situation to drop it. And then they can't because you know what not? You know why? Because they didn't do all the other steps.
They didn't do all the steps.
And all the steps are crucial because you're going to remember those steps. And you're like, I tried everything. I tried everything. I put my best effort in. I acknowledged it. I saw my shortcomings in this. I tried to change it. I feel good about the position to actually leave it and leave it in a positive way so you're a better person. A lot of people want to go from, this is a situation, I'm going to leave it.
No.
And then, you know what happens after that? They still go through the same steps, but in different times.
Well, because they've never cleaned up the debris from the storm.
Exactly. They go through the anger. They go through the sadness. They go through the regret. Regret is acknowledging what your part was in it. That's regret. Anger is anger, and depression is acknowledging that happened. So that's the accepting part. It's just like switching words around. It's the same thing.
Same shit.
You reflect on what happened, and you're like, what happened? Now you're depressed about that,
Mm-hmm.
then that means you accepted
Yeah.
that it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it all comes in different ways. So just change the words around. But like, if you can focus and truly be intimate on the process of trauma, I would say, and I think we're in agreement here, I love the 4 steps.
Mm-hmm.
I love these 4 steps.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance, acknowledgement,
Yep.
change it,
Yep.
leave it.
Yeah. 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 If you leave out any step, then you leave room for those things to creep back into your life again. So, for instance, I'll just put myself on blast because I can't speak for
Yeah.
nobody else. Marie is a very intimate individual. Like she wants to talk about all the things, and she wants to hold and love and do all of those things and whatnot. I did not have a concept or a rule of transparency when it came to me and my family growing up. We didn't do the hugging. We didn't have really deep conversations and all of those things and whatnot. And so I know for myself in the relationship with Marie and I, there have been times where I have fallen short of giving her that intimacy that,
Yeah.
and I point back, well, I just wasn't raised that way. We just didn't do all of that stuff. And listen, it's fucking true. But if I don't fucking acknowledge, accept, change, and cut it off, I'm going to allow something that took place decades ago to impact a good thing that I have going on right fucking now.
Right now.
34 fucking years later. It can still, it's not can, it's still. I'm acknowledging it and I'm working through it, but it is still impacting the things that I say and the things that I do as it pertains to the most intimate person that I have with me in my life right now. And so if you don't, again, baby Godzilla turns into big Godzilla. You have got to start to do the work to understand where these things come from, because we're the sum total of every fucking thing that has ever been said to us, every fucking thing that's ever happened to us, every fucking thing we've ever experienced or observed. That all has a part in who we are today. And if we don't put real, honest, true, pure definition to all of these things, that shit, the Bible says it's the little foxes that spoil the whole vine.
Yeah.
Another saying in there, it says a little leaven messes up the entire batch of dough. And I always thought that was so good, because with leaven, you put a little bit and that thing starts to permeate throughout the entire dough process and eventually completely takes over the entire fucking thing like a fungus on a tree or something like that. And so, there's so many people living today, including myself, that are still being ruled by things that happened 10, 20, 25, 30, 40 years ago. And it's because, again, like you said, the storms come, the hurricanes hit, the debris all over the fucking place, the power lines are fucking down, the trees have knocked down the fences, and we've not done the cleanup work. We're just driving through the fucking street as if there's not a goddamn oak tree in the middle of it.
Yeah. Oblivious. What's around us.
Oblivious. And guess what? Then we start to not change. We start to adjust based upon the new normal that we have now accepted. So instead of cleaning up the shit, now what am I going to do? I'm just going to get out of my car and I'm going to ride my bike instead of moving this tree, or I'm going to walk now. And so I start to become a slave to situations instead of being an overcomer in spite of the situations or the circumstances that are around me. And cleaning up fucking sucks. My dog shit all over the place the other fucking day. I'd hate to clean up some shit. But if I don't clean up that shit's ultimately going to become a bigger problem than what it was if I just would have fucking taken care of it when I was supposed to take care of it.
And that speaks to the attitude of, say, laziness.
Yeah.
Being okay with masking apathy. You're masking the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or just throw a towel over it.
Yeah.
Or it's in the corner and I don't see it.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
I've never been that person.
Yeah.
If my tire was low or my person says my tire light came on,
mm-hmm.
I just walk out.
Right then.
If it's time to take the trash out, it's time to take the trash out.
And you're not waiting on anybody else to do it either. You're not waiting on anybody else to do it. That's been such a big thing, and I know we're about at an hour now. Can you still hear? We good?
I lost your volume.
What about now? Tillo.
This little girl.
What'd she do? She turn your shit down?
Turn that shit down. Don't touch that board. She spun you down. I was like, what?
Yeah.
She just reached up there and spun it.
But yeah, we've just, I think what it all boils down to is that we owe it to ourselves. We
Yes.
always, like, in church, we were taught that a lot of the stuff that we do here on earth really didn't matter because this earth is not my home. I'm just passing through. I'm just a pilgrim in a fucking strange land or whatever. And so what it did is it desensitized us from the reality that listen, I don't know what the fuck happens whenever this is all over, Joel. I don't have a clue. But what I do know is I have time, I have a moment right now. And if I don't maximize that moment, Kairos, if I don't seize that moment right now, I don't know if I'm ever going to get a chance to do that again. And so it's not allowing apathy to fill our lives. When I see that it needs to be done, again, just like you, we've talked about this before. Like Marie and I don't have this thing of I took out the trash and I cleaned the dishes and I did that. What did you do today? That's never the spirit. But again, I'm already fucking up at 5 o'clock in the goddamn morning anyway. I wake up, clearly I'm going to see the things that are wrong before anybody else that wakes up sees the things that are wrong. Why not just fucking take care of it now? Why would I wait for someone else to take the trash out?
Yeah.
Why would I wait for someone else to vacuum? It needs to be done. I don't know if they're ever going to do it.
Well, and the expectation is like you have the moment, you have the time.
Yeah.
And you have to apply that same mentality to your life,
everything,
in your emotional and mental state.
Yeah. Everything.
It's not a better time.
Everything. Yeah.
You cannot be like, a lot of people, they want to take the emotions and then mask it with something else.
Yeah.
A night out at the club or a new relationship or a new friendship or diving into a movie or
a book.
Like, a book. You have to sit in it.
Yeah.
You have to feel it. You have to process it.
Yeah.
You have to have a person.
Yeah.
Right? Or a therapist.
Yeah.
That you can just open up to. Because you have to let it out. You have to understand, like, everything builds up in you. And we all know this. But you feel so much better when you can release all of those thoughts and all those feelings.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's in a mirror. You can do it to yourself.
Yeah.
You can literally sit in front of a mirror and do this. Now, it is better when you have a person, like a friend that can hear you.
Yeah.
Be there for you.
Yeah.
Champion you. Acknowledge and also call your shit out so you truly feel it and process it. Like, and the only time to do it is now. You can't push it down the road.
No.
It's like trying to push snow in a snowplow down the road. You got to stop and knock it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't keep going. It's inevitable. You're going to keep building up. You cannot. Man, it's a great show.
I loved it.
Trauma.
Accept. Acknowledge your part.
Acknowledge.
Make the necessary changes and then let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. And let it go can mean a bunch of different things for different people. Letting it go could be shutting this off, ending that, turning that away, pushing that away, whatever it may be.
Right.
But you have to do it because, again, like you said, it's kind of like when people ask me, how often do you go to the restroom now that you're a carnivore? And I'm like, I go to the restroom maybe once every 2 or 3 days. And people are like, oh, that sounds so terrible. Why do you? I said, well, because my body is eating most of what it wants. And every few days, it's getting rid of the waste. Just a little bit, but it's still waste. And it's the same thing with us in our lives. there's so much waste spiritually, mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally. And what is waste? It's something that is not wanted. It's something that is not needed. And it's got to be put out so that you can make space for the things that you really do fucking want.
Brandon,
And
that's fuck.
that you
Dude,
really, and that,
I don't know how you just took a shit analogy and made that like emotional, but man, that just hit a nerve.
listen, it's true, because I talk to people all the time about that, because they're like, I can't give up carbs, and you're not, and I'm like, well, listen, when you're going to the bathroom 3 or 4 days, 3 or 4 times a day,
Yeah.
that's your body telling you, half of this shit you're giving me, I don't want it.
I don't need it.
Don't
I don't want it. I don't need it.
Don't need it, whatever. And if you don't get this out of me, because it serves no purpose. And again, as it is physically, it's the same thing spiritually and emotionally. If we let that shit build up, it serves no purpose. And it's taking the space of something that we really do need in our life or in our experience.
Yes.
So we got
to shit emotionally multiple times a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna shit in all the emotions multiple times a day.
Yeah.
But it's okay to do it every couple of days.
Yep.
Write that analogy down. That's a fucking good way. I ain't never heard someone turn shit into an analogy like that. That wasn't gross, but you did it. Brandon, you're the man.
No, you're the man, dude.
I love you, dude.
I love you too, man.
Having you in my life, man, I don't know how. I did it 39 years before I met you.
No mistakes.
There's no mistakes in who you meet.
No mistakes.
In life.
Yep.
I think every person comes in for a reason. And I definitely see your reason.
Yeah.
As one of my best friends.
Likewise.
You're amazing.
Likewise. You are too, dude.
I appreciate you tremendously.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You already know. We could sit here.
I
can sit here and dote on you. I can dote on you all night long, boy. and listen, and maybe one day, some episodes down the road, down the road, we can actually talk about how we met and some of the, because I think it's quite a cool story, actually.
I think it's a great story. Yeah.
Especially where we are today, because there's components of that are missing now, and there are components of even before that had started to miss already. That I just think it's a cool story, cool origin story, and I think they should hear it one day.
I agree. We'll do a full transparency story in the future.
Yeah, once we get all the shit out, once we get all the waste.
We're working on it.
Yeah, no, I get it, man.
All the waste out.
I
love you, buddy.
Love you too, Big Daddy.
All right.
Post nut clarity, guys.
Bam.